right
Oh,
now.
actually, you probably are live and they probably just saw you, but that's okay. So
Okay.
welcome everybody to today's Daily Live. I'm Chef AJ, and this is where I go live at least once a day, sometimes more because I'm actually going live twice today to create a sense of community for those that are sheltering in place and to interview interesting people that I like. Today, my guest is one of my favorite people. She's one of my favorite Libras. My dog Bailey is a Libra, and Libras are just such an awesome sign. If I could have chosen my astrological sign, I wouldn't have chosen to be an Aries, a double Aries, that is. I would have chosen to be a Libra, like our next guest and Bailey, because they're so calm, they're so lovely. I've interviewed her several times before, especially if you've watched the Truth About Weight Loss Summit this year. She actually did a very, very amazing culinary demo. She is the author of many books, which we'll talk about. She's actually the chef and the culinary project manager for Forks Over Knives. Please welcome Chef Darshana Thacker. Well, hello there. How are you?
Hi, Chef AJ. I'm doing okay. Enjoying this downtime and just taking it one day at a time.
That's amazing. So what are you doing today in your kitchen? You test probably more recipes than anybody in the world.
Yeah, I do. Right now I'm testing some oil-free salad dressings, and my main problem is I don't have anybody to test them, like to taste and give me some feedback. So that is my biggest problem right now. And it's not nice.
Yeah, that is true. That's one thing about sheltering in place. So if you're not familiar with Darshana, I'm sure everybody's familiar with Forks Over Knives. She actually either authored or co-authored two books. The first one is the wonderful Forks Over Knives meal plan, where you can find a lot of her wonderful recipes. And then if you have kids, you're going to love these. You can see that I use this because it's right here. And then she did one book all by herself, which is such a great book if you like international flavors, especially. And that's why the book is called Flavor. And did you actually create all the things that Forks Over Knives has available, like the grain mixes and the salad dressings? Did you actually create those recipes?
Yes, I did. We were in collaboration with other people in the team, but yes, the base concept I created, and then we evolved on that. So yes.
Could you show us what products are available? Because I'm not sure everybody even knows that you can order oil-free salad dressing. And actually, I mean, this would be great during sheltering in place, especially if you don't want to make them yourself. I love the one. I like the fig, the fig. That's my favorite, the balsamic fig.
The balsamic fig, and yeah, that's the one we've run out of today. We just,
oh no, well, you can just show them.
Yeah.
And tell us how we get them. Kathy's saying I have the Flavor cookbook and it's great.
Thank you, Kathy. So this is our new latest one, the creamy Italian. It's got cashew in it, but we try, it's always like low fat for sure, because we are a low fat brand, and no oil, of course. And this is the pomegranate tarragon. This is a very light one. People would think like, oh, it's so liquid, it's so mild, the flavor. But so many times when I've served it at parties, people will say, what was that dressing? Because it's subtle. It's so, like very subtle flavor, but it really works. And this is the orange sesame ginger.
Yeah, that one's very good as well. I haven't had the first two, but that one is delicious.
Yeah, so these are the three. And the fourth one is the one that we've run out of, and which is the balsamic fig.
Yeah, that's one that Charles really likes. Gina says, we're all desperate for an Indian sophistry cookbook. So if you could please make a cookbook without sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, salt, it's Indian, I would be happy to tell everyone to get it.
Well, yes, I think I've already started. So since we are all, spending so much time at home, and then since I don't have that many people to test my recipes, my recipe development has gone down a bit, like it's very low pace. And I'm getting a lot more time to try out my traditional Indian recipes that I grew up eating. And so this has been, like in a way, the best time for me. I know it's not the right time for the whole world. Everybody is going through a very tough time. But the little good that I see in my daily life right now is that I'm testing out all these recipes, and I call up my mom every morning, she's in India, and I'll tell her, tell me, give me one more new recipe, as in like, no, unique recipes that's very,
That's going
traditional.
to be amazing. So people are asking if you could please again repeat the flavors of salad dressings that Forks Over Knives has available oil-free and where to get them.
Yeah, it's the creamy Italian, the orange sesame ginger, the pomegranate tarragon, and the fig balsamic. And we have them on our website right now. We don't have them in the market. It's only on our website right now because, we are testing it out, to see the audience response. So
Right.
that's.
People keep asking me for a ranch and a Thousand Island.
Yes, I know. We have those recipes almost ready, but not yet. Like they won't be out yet. So
Okay, well, keep working on them. Lorna
yes.
says, I love your flavor cookbook and would love more. Yes, we all want to see an Indian cookbook from Darshana, who kind of obvious from the accent is Indian. And I'll never forget when you appeared at the Engine 2 conference and you said you just told a really funny joke in your introduction about, I can't remember, you were doing a Mexican food demo.
Yes, I was doing a Mexican and I said, like, I come from a small town in Mexico called Mumbai.
That is hilarious. Are you really from Mumbai though?
Yes, I am.
Wow.
I am. Yeah.
That's so cool. When did you come to the United States permanently?
When I came in 2001.
Wow.
Early 2001. Yeah.
Wow. Well, what made you come here because you left your family?
Yes, I did. But the thing was, I come from like in Indian families, we are very protective of, especially the women or the girls in the house. So I wanted to get away from the protective environment and explore and be independent and, like try out living by myself, supporting myself. And I wanted to try that out. And I thought going away from my family would be the best way to do it. Otherwise they would be anywhere in India, they would have turned up and started, like helping me out. So that's the reason why I came all the way to LA.
Wow. And you stayed, obviously.
Oh yes. From the very beginning, this was home for me. I somehow, the multicultural environment, and the West Side has the spiritual environment, which all was very attractive for me. And then, of course, I turned vegan in 2003. So this was the best, Los Angeles was at that time I think, the vegan capital of US. Now it's, veganism is all over. But so it was the perfect place for me. The farmers market are amazing here. The produce, yeah.
So I maybe I'm wrong because I've never really traveled much outside the United States, but I thought in general Indian people were already vegetarian, or most of them.
You know what? I thought so too, but it looks like more and more people have a little bit of meat in their diet, but basically they're the Hindus, especially. A lot of Hindus are pure vegetarians with dairy in their diet. Then there are some which have a little bit dairy and eggs. And then few have a little bit meat in their diet. And especially those who live in the coastal areas, they tend to have, fish in their diet. So yeah, but being vegetarian is a very, like a natural concept for Hindus in India.
Right. Yeah. So, I had a guest from England yesterday, and I was talking about how McDonald's has insinuated itself everywhere. Do they have McDonald's in India, and are the offerings different than in the United States?
Yes, they have customized them to the Indian taste. Like they probably don't have beef in India right now. They don't sell beef, but they have flavors, and the type of meat they use is, more appealing to the Indian audience. But yes, and those kind of fast food franchises have increased the consumption of meat in India.
Oh, boy, what made you decide to become vegan in 2003 when you moved to LA? Because that was before you got involved with Forks Over Knives.
Yes, the thing is, I realized my ethical the ethics that I followed were actually what veganism is all about. I just was not aware of the dairy and the egg industry. So I was vegetarian in the sense I had eggs and I had dairy. And I thought, I would not have meat because, I wouldn't want to hurt animals. I didn't know that egg and the, dairy industry also hurts animal. I didn't have that connection. But as soon as I understood this in 2003, when I got to understand that, oh, yeah, these are also industries. Why wouldn't these, the cow and the chickens be treated like commodities? And it just clicked, and I stopped instantly the moment I had that connection. So for me, it started very much from my ethics, and then understanding the science behind the health behind uh, the plant-based diet was so easy. It's so easy to connect that.
Yep. S says at some point, I think we all had the same epiphany. I see some boxes to your right. Are those also something that Forks Over Knives has available?
Oh, yes. These are great. I love these packages because they make it so much easy when you're really tired. You don't want to do any chopping or, lot of cooking. Then you just put this in the Instant Pot, or you just put it in a pan, and you get a big portion of meal. For a family of 4, it would be a very good, hearty meal.
Could you talk about each one and hold it very close to the camera so we can see it?
Sure. So this is the Moroccan quinoa. It's really amazing, really delicious. So that's one of our, this one is quinoa. The other 3 are all rice kits. So this one is, of course, I had to have an Indian rice and dal in the package. And the third one is the Spanish paella.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah. And so all these packages have, a kit of a packet of spices and the grain and 1 bean. So in this case, it has, I don't know which bean it is. I'm sorry. There's some bean in there. Must be chickpeas. And then there is a list of fresh ingredients that you can add to it. And it's very easily, displayed. So it's very easy to follow these instructions. And the good part is sometimes I don't put any fresh ingredients. I just, just cook this kit. Especially when you're traveling, these kits are very handy when you're traveling. So I do carry them whenever I go, for vacation. I do carry 1 or 2 kits. So this is the Mexican one. Yeah. So each one has very different flavor profile. And this one, the Indian one especially, is spicy. For those who like spicy, this is the nice spicy kit.
So, I'm ashamed to say I haven't tried them. They sound amazing. So they each have a spice kit, a grain, and a bean in it.
Yes.
So, that sounds great. And people can get them at forksoverknives.com, the same website. Yes. They can get the salad dressing.
Exactly. Yes.
And I would imagine the shipping isn't too bad because those are much lighter because sometimes people said, oh, the bottles are so heavy. Well, that's because they're glass,
Exactly. Yeah. And hopefully we won't have that problem. We can distribute them in bigger, supermarkets in the future.
That would be great. So the Forks Over Knives dressings don't need refrigeration until after you open them?
Exactly. And even after you open them, I've had them open for even a month or so, especially those creamy dressings, and they still are good.
Terrific. Debbie Edwards says she just ordered your book Flavor. So thank you, Debbie. We have a question. Where's your bindi? I don't know what a bindi is. So where's yours?
Did somebody ask that?
Yeah. Where's your, I don't even know what that is. So
bindi is the dot that Indian women wear. Well, I don't wear the bindi. Not everybody does,
where I go to, I have a P.O. box here, and the gentleman that owns the place is Indian, and he has it too. So I never understood what that was. I thought, does it mean you're married or?
So the bindi, it depends on the different kind of bindi. Some women wear it as a decorative thing, like they will match their bindi to their outfit. Like it could be a purple bindi, it could be an orange bindi, dot. And some women are more traditional orthodox, so they would have it. It's powdered vermilion. It comes from the flower, the pollen of the flower or something, and that powdered is meant as a significance. It has significance. It's like if you're married, or if you're about to be married, or you're eligible to be married. So it can be that. then the same powder, when it is used when you're doing your offerings to the god at the altar in Hindu ritual, then that means something different. It's just that you have connected with the god, you had some spiritual, you know
That's fascinating. I never knew any of this, by the way. So thank you for explaining what that is, and please forgive my ignorance. So somebody's asking, is her book out? Yes, Beverly, she has 3 books out. I'll show them again. Forks Over Knives Family, great if you have kids. Forks Over Knives Plan, great for everyone. And her latest one, which is just all of her recipes, international, multicultural, fantastic. Debbie says, those kits are very good. I love the convenience. I love the Mexican and the quinoa one. And S says, what stores are you thinking of having your salad dressings at?
Oh, we are still exploring the product itself, so we don't know yet. Hopefully, it's available all over.
That'd be great.
That.
I don't know if this question is too personal from Gina, but how did you meet Brian Wendell?
Well, I met him buying vegetables at the farmer's market.
See, that's the best place to meet somebody, is in the produce aisle.
Right, exactly.
That's adorable. Honestly, I didn't even know them. So that's amazing. One of the things I'd love for you to talk about, because some people, they're not working right now, so money is tight. And people always have complained, even in the best of times, how expensive a plant-based diet is. However, in the Forks Over Knives magazine, which we actually haven't talked about, we will, you wrote this amazing article about eat well on a budget, a week's worth of meal for $7 a day. But even before this, you did an experiment once where you ate for like $1.50 a day. So can you talk about how we can maximize our dollars right now, where for some people it's a little bit difficult with the sheltering and
right. So when I had that budget of just $7 for the week, I decided, first of all, I had to go to a discounted store which sells grains, beans, and some fresh vegetables. And in LA, we are, I don't know if this is all over California, but at least we have the 99-cent store, which I'm assuming is all over California at least. I went to the 99-cent store and I checked out what was available. And I first gravitated towards the grains and the lentils, which were cheap. They were like $1 a pound. So I picked that up, a package of each. And then I saw that they were selling potatoes, by a 10-pound bag or a 5-pound bag. And it was the maximum amount of money that I spent was on that potato, the bag of potato. But that was like 5 pounds of potato is enough. So now this is for my, I was, whatever I was making enough for myself and to share it with Brian. So the amount of food that I was getting out of this $7, because I picked the grains first, the rice, potatoes, pasta, these were the things I put the main amount of money on. And so because these are calorie dense and they sustain you much longer. So, and these are the cheapest things in the market. So it was so easy for me to fill my stomach and to, share my food with Brian. And so I did that a few times now, and it has every time. I have always had surplus food. I've not gone hungry, and I've had a variety of dishes I could make out of these few things.
It's amazing. People are still so afraid of starch.
Sorry, I lost you for a second. Oh.
Did you come back?
Yes, I'm here. But
Okay, let's see what's going on. Let's see if we're still live. That's you know what, I think with all the people that are using Zoom now, I think that's the problem.
right, that's possible. Oh yeah, I can see you now.
Right. I just want to make sure we're live. Charles, are you here? Could you tell us if we're live, please? Because I've lost the connection with Restream. So just give me 1 second. Sorry, guys, about this. This happened, of course, the day that I was to interview Dr. McDougall. Of course, this happened. It seems to be happening on Mondays, too, for some reason, because that's the second time it's happened. Let's see if we can.
Yes, you are live now.
Great. Now, the only thing is I may not see people's comments, unfortunately. That's the only bad part, but we'll keep going. So
Okay.
thank you guys for your patience, and we apologize. So what we were talking about before we were so rudely interrupted by the unstable internet connection was the fact that Darshana was able to eat enough food for $1.50 a day, have food left over, sharing it with Brian by concentrating on the satiating, healthful starches like potatoes, like rice, like beans, which is the category that, unfortunately we're in Got Kale today, but it really should be my other shirt, Got Starch, the category that we need to get most of our calories from, which are still nutrient dense and satiating. And that's what a lot of people are afraid of.
Right.
Yeah. So what kind of things did you make when you had only $1.50 a day? Did you use different seasonings? Like what can you remember some of the things you made?
Yeah, I used to have mashed potato and so I would I cooked up the lentils in, the whole batch of lentils, and then I used it for different meals throughout the week. And one of the things was I made a lentil stew or something like that, I remember. And I had mashed potato with lentils. Then I would have, of course, potato fries, like baked potato with lentils in it. And I had pasta with lentils because I picked up some cans of tomatoes too. So I would have pasta with tomato sauce and then lentils in it. And I remember at that time, my budget was such that I didn't have money for spices, but I did, I kind of calculated some of the money towards buying spices, a little bit, here and there, like a little bit of Italian seasoning. So I would use that through all my recipes. But because the ingredients were different, sometimes I would have potatoes with lentils. Sometimes I would have pasta with lentils. Sometimes I would have rice with lentils. So I created, some things were the same, but the combinations of it created different meals every time. And it's not that difficult. This is just the starting point. As you eat, as you collect more ingredients in your pantry, you can create more and more variety with the same, cheap ingredients like beans and grains.
Right. And it's so great that, like you said, you not only have the culinary skill, you understand the nutritional science, because Carolee is saying, I've been taught starches are bad. How do I get past this? I need to lose 20 pounds. Knowing that all of us that used to be obese, like myself, lost all of our weight eating potatoes. So if you haven't read my book, consider reading the McDougall Program for Maximum Weight Loss, or check out SpudFit, who lost 120 pounds eating only potatoes. Starches are what make you thin. So thank goodness we're back. We did lose the previous chat box. There was a question, though, that I luckily wrote down from Linda, who said, I love Chef Darshana with 3 purple hearts. And she said, I have trouble convincing my Indian clients to take out ghee because they tell me that it's spiritual.
Oh, yes, that has been my problem too. When I travel to India or with my family, everybody says, oh, ghee is so good for you. But it's a learned thing, just like the starch question, how can you lose weight on eating starch? Starch makes you put on weight. Starch affects your sugar levels. So these are all, concepts that we have learned. And we need to find out what is the latest, it's not latest. There has been enough scientific evidence to show that that's not true. Have I lost you again? Looks like I'm on, but I can't tell. Oh, there. You're back.
You know, hon, I'm so sorry, you guys. This is, and I honestly don't think it's me. We pay for the highest level of service that we can, but like, I mean, it's crazy how many people are using Zoom. And when we try to contact customer service, they'll say you're number 343 in line. So we do apologize for these glitches. But luckily, when we miss the chat, I've been writing down the questions. And one fun question is, what was your favorite food before going vegan, and what is it now?
Oh, it's still the same. There's an Indian dish called khichdi, which is rice and lentils cooked together. And that was my favorite food growing up, and it still is. I still make khichdi. And as we were talking about the ghee question before this, yeah,
Right.
ghee was a big part of that khichdi there before I turned vegan. And then once I turned vegan, initially I had this thing, oh, I need something with this, something is missing. I used to put a little bit of avocado in my khichdi, chopped up avocado. Now I don't even need that. Once once you understand about fat, low fat diet, even then, like you get the same pleasure out of eating once you've, changed your diet and evolved a little bit. So yeah, my favorite food is khichdi till today.
That's great. Do you have a khichdi recipe in one of your books?
Yes, I do. But there are different ways of making khichdi. Like every family has, just like an Italian family, every family would have their own pizza recipe or pasta recipe. So every family has a khichdi recipe. And my mom has a few different khichdi recipes. There is one very good one in the flavor book, very flavorful khichdi recipe.
I'm going to look it up while you answer the next question. Someone said they see a bunch of cookbooks over your shoulder. What are your favorites?
Oh, those are all mine. But I have one from one of our dear friends, Dan, and I really am enjoying, his exploration of the different cuisine from around the world that are based on, plant-based diet.
Is that a new book? Because I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, this came out a few months ago, and it was a very, very successful book. So yeah, there are some recipes here that I would like to try. They're oil free, so I'm gonna try those.
Is it plant-based?
It is plant based, but there is a little bit of oil in there. I think it is plant based, but yeah.
How do you spell khichdi? Because I'm trying to look it up in your flavor book.
KHICHRI.
Not seem to be finding it.
It will be in the rice, in the grain section.
Okay, I'm trying to look it up. So I know that as one of the speakers on the Truth About Weight Loss Summit, you got a small gift from our sponsor, California Balsamic, of some new flavors. What did you think of them, and have you found ways to use them?
So this one, I'm going to be using this today. So one of the things that I'm doing right now is going through my pantry and using up grains and beans that I haven't used for a long time, and I should be. So today I picked farro, and I cooked some farro here. I can show you. So this is farro, and I'm going to be adding some, I always keep some chopped vegetables in my fridge. So I'm going to saute some vegetables, and I'm going to add that to my farro, and I'm going to add the curry balsamic to it.
That sounds really good. I thank you, Jessie, for telling me what page number the khichdi was on. But look how beautiful her food is. And what I love is there's pictures in this book. So when do you have time for anything? Because with the projects manager, you got the books, you got the magazines, you got the products. I mean, it's a lot of things you do.
Yes, but my main job is developing recipes for the magazine, for the website. So that's what I focus on. I am involved a little bit in our meal planning subscription, plan.
Yeah, you should talk about that, because we kept trying to promote it on the summit, because you can get 2 weeks for free. I use that meal plan. Are some of the recipes there yours? Because they're very good.
Yeah, they are. Some of them are mine, some of the older ones, because now I do more for the magazine, because we have 4 issues a year. So that's a lot of recipes to develop. So I'm more busy with the magazine. But yes, our meal subscription. Oh,
This is different than your magazine, right? This was a special thing, right?
it was a special issue, and we're going to come back with more of these, the same particular issue. We're going to have more on the shelf soon.
Nice.
And yeah, and that's one of my favorite recipes on that issue.
That's cool. Gina says, was she a chef or did she go to cooking school before? I can tell you that she went to cooking school, and after she did, then she was on fire. And whenever we did Iron Chefs, me, her, and Chef Dell, who I interviewed a couple of weeks ago, she kicked our butts because she had just graduated culinary school.
Yes, I think that was my only time where I could beat you guys, but you guys are amazing. You have.
Yes. So they're asking for the name of the magazine. It's called the Forks Over Knives magazine, and they can subscribe. But I've also seen this at newsstands and in stores. And there's so many great recipes. Let me just show you a bunch of different issues. It's just so beautiful. I actually contributed to one of these, some of the desserts to one year. So if you ever want me to contribute again, I would love to, because it's
of course.
Anyway, these are the last 6 that I have. I didn't bring them all out, but it's a great magazine.
The latest one, it has. Oh.
You can actually get it at Whole Foods. I've seen it at Whole Foods, and this is a special issue that they were talking about. That was.
So this is the latest one that's in the shelves right now.
Oh, I don't think I have that one yet. Yeah. The book that the Kitchery is in is her book called Flavor. It's her most recent book with international flavors. And Colleen says, I have every one of the Forks Over Knives magazine. They are great. They are, Colleen. It's almost like having your own little cookbook, you know? Let's see. Michelle says, I've kind of wandered from eating plant-based. Well, now it's time to wander back. But you've inspired me to get back with it. Feel better eating that way. Absolutely. You know, I was watching an interview that Robbie and Cyrus did with a pulmonologist who's not plant-based, but he was talking about COVID. And he said, you know, I was plant-based for 4 months and I felt better than ever. And then I'm thinking, well, then why did you stop? And I actually found him on, I think, Facebook. And I said, well, why did you stop? I said, that would be like me being your patient saying, well, you know, I stopped smoking and vaping for 4 months and I felt the best I ever have, but I went back to it. And he just wrote back, thank you. And then I wrote back, well, you know, can I give you some of my books? But I haven't heard back from him. But, you know, you wonder why people stray when they feel better.
Yeah. You always, it doesn't. Something else probably that has, you know, like more pull takes over, I guess, you know.
Yeah, I call it food addiction.
All the memories of what food, you know, the food that they are used to, it just draws them back.
Carla says you can get the magazines at Safeway and Michael's too. That's incredible. And if you joined us late, I'm interviewing Chef Darshana Thacker, the chef and culinary projects manager from Forks Over Knives. And a question about what spices you use in your kitchen and what culinary school did you attend?
So I studied at the Natural Gourmet Institute in New York City, which has now merged with the Institute of Culinary Education. And so it's a different institute now. And I love to use a lot of spices, and I use so many that it's difficult to just list one, but I can show you that here are 2 baskets full of spices that I use for all the Indian recipes that I'm testing right now. So there must be at least 25 to 30 spices here. And this is just 1/3 of my pantry, you know, of spices.
Wow. Aren't there different types of Indian cuisine though, different regions, like just like in Chinese, there's like.
Oh, yes. So yeah, we have like the North Indian and the South Indian. They're very different. There are very few restaurants in US that would serve both. You would either be going to a South Indian restaurant which serves stuff like idlis and dosas, and there would be other restaurants which would serve like chickpea, like chana and samosas. So yeah, it's very different kind of cuisine because there is a very different kind of geography. The North Indian food is all, you know, mountain food, you know, like and the South Indian is more tropical areas. So a lot of coconut, fresh vegetables. grains.
What is it? I mean, when I think of dessert, I don't think like Indian. What are there traditional Indian desserts? Because you don't really do a lot of Indian desserts, do you?
I don't, because a lot of those Indian desserts are focused on milk, ghee, and different derivatives of milk. So yeah, I don't really go there, but there are many, and they would be really high fat because it would be dairy and nuts and sugar. These are the three things. There are some recipes that I have. I have one recipe for brown rice pudding. I don't know what it's called. It's called kheer. I have that recipe. I don't know if it's on Forks Over Knives, but oh yes, it is there. In one of the magazines of Forks Over Knives, I did an Indian night, like a whole menu to create an Indian meal from appetizer to dessert. And one of the dessert that I have in that one is the Indian porridge. It's Indian pudding, so it's brown rice pudding, and that one is it's pretty good because I'm using whole grain brown rice and a little bit of plant-based milk and a little bit of nuts.
Is there any cardamom in it?
Yes,
So
yes, pistachio and cardamom.
that sounds delicious. Marion wants to know if you can purchase the Forks Over Knives magazine in Canada. Do you happen to know?
I have heard of our fans talking about having found it in Canada. If not, I think they can be shipped. If you order online, I think you can.
Very nice. There's a question about, do you buy the spices whole and grind them? And if so, how do you store them?
Some of there are a couple of them. Cumin and coriander, I like to grind because they have, it's really like fresh. If you buy already ground, I don't know, the flavor is not that strong, so I like to grind my own. And I just store them in these jars, these mason jars, and I label them, and they're in my pantry. So.
Once I took a cooking class with you a long time ago when you had an apartment somewhere and you had like this round thing with these little silver things. Do you remember what I'm talking about? Like this like
yes.
this. What was that spice thing?
It's called the masala box. So masala means spices in Hindi, and every home in India has a masala box. Even Indians in the US would have this. It's a box which has 7 small containers, and I have it somewhere here in my pantry. I could show you. And you keep the spices that you use all the time. You keep small portions of it in that tray. It has a lid, so it's not, as I said, like there are so many spices that I use in a basic Indian dish that to open each jar would be so tedious if you're cooking 3 times a day like they do in India. So they keep this box of the basics already in one tray, and then you just, use it, and then you close it with the lid. So that's a masala box that everybody has.
That is a great idea. And I should do that for myself with the spices I like pepperoni spice from Local Spicery and Benson's Table Tasty and smoked paprika, because a lot of times I have to get up, and if I had this masala, I could just have all my spices in one place.
Exactly. Maybe I'll give you one of my containers that I don't use.
It's really actually a very good idea. Cindy wants to know, is there any chance for a dosa recipe?
Yes, I'm working on a whole grain dosa. So usually dosa is made out of white rice and white lentils. And I'm working on a recipe that, I call dosa, it's something that you have to practice a lot before you can get it right, because it involves fermentation, just like sourdough. It takes, not everybody can make sourdough. You have to really practice till you get it right. So that's it. That's why it's taking some time, but I want to get that, and I want to get a whole grain dosa recipe. And
that sounds great. You're really an adventurous person. I didn't realize that you came to this country all alone, really not knowing anyone, and then you left to go to New York.
No, I did have some family here. I had a sister here.
Okay. Good.
Yes.
But not your mom,
No. The rest of the family is in India. Only my sister. Yeah, we are very. I don't have extended cousins and all that in LA. I have a couple spread out, but yeah, basically it was just my sister.
But I can't imagine your mom being very happy with you leaving. I mean, most moms just don't want their kids to go away, and you went pretty far.
Yes, and I was gone for 7 years before I could get back to India after my, my green card, and like it was a long wait before I could go back to India.
Wow, you must be very adventurous. I can't imagine going to another country. And then you left LA for several months when you went to culinary school to go to New York.
Yes, yeah, I like that. I like growth. I like, you know, like evolving, like constantly learning, constantly changing.
Yeah.
Exchange is the only real, is the only constant actually. We are always changing.
Wow.
Change into something better, something bigger, it's that's
Gina
what
says you have
I
an
like.
adventurous, independent streak like her. I don't know if I could do that. So how did culinary school make a difference? Because I had your food before and it was already delicious. So what did it just give you more confidence or more stage time? So how did it make a difference for you going to culinary school?
It made me more informed. It gave me more skills to be efficient and to be creative. Uh, yeah, and it did expand lot of the basics of say French cooking, Italian cooking. So to understand where it all comes from, the Western style of cooking, I didn't have much reference point. So, and also it this particular school at that particular time was very good for me because this was the only one of the only two schools that were focusing on the vegan food. Like 95% of the recipes that we were taught in school were vegan. They did have some other elements, but that was just to inform the students of the basics of meat and dairy and eggs. But the main focus was vegan food, and that was the best part about it. And it gave me, from studying, understanding vegan translations of traditional recipes like sauces and all that. From there, I could easily take it into whole food, plant-based, no oil. So it really helped me a lot. Sorry.
That's great. You did go. Yes. The question is, did she go after she was plant-based? Yes. She said she went vegan in 2003. And I think you went to culinary school, what, in like 2015? 14. I knew it was about that. Jesse says, if Darshana was making and I'm not going to pronounce this right, Bain Barda dish, would she bake the eggplant separately first?
Yes, absolutely. You would roast the eggplant. Either you can do it on the stove or you can broil it. And then you just, remove this, the skin and mash it up. And that's what you would use to add to the sauteed onion and, the spices.
Talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about the Forks Over Knives app and the meal plan. I don't have the app. I don't know why. I think at one point I had it, and then when I changed phones, I guess it was gone, and I never got it back. But what about the meal plan? Because I don't use it the way people do, like to tell me what I have to eat. I just look at the recipes I like and generate the shopping list. And what I love about it is like you can do like a half a recipe, you can times 4. So talk a little bit about that, and because anybody can try it 2 weeks for free.
Right. The way this program, this product has been designed, it's really amazing. Like me, I use it to even when I want to create a meal for a big party. I use that recipe because it helps me translate into either half portion all the way to 30 people, 40 people portion. It translates for me. And so I like that. I like that I can have my own recipe box, so I can put in my own recipes in there, or I can even, I can import recipes that I like, or I can select the recipes from the selection that Forks Over Knives offers. I put them in my favorites and I can use them again and again. And every week we come up with new recipes, few new recipes, few old recipes. It's all curated. The whole week's menu has been curated so that you are making it fresh one day. You're eating the first half of it, and the second is for the next day as leftover. So you're not cooking every day all day long. You're just cooking 30 minutes a day. You just spend a little more time on Sunday before the meal plans, before you start using the recipes. You just prep everything. A couple of hours on a Sunday, you would prep and have everything ready. And then Monday, Tuesday, every day, you're just spending 30 minutes to prepare a fresh meal, and you're using it leftover the next day for lunch. So it's so efficient. Everything is calculated for you. A shopping list is prepared, and even the shopping list is you can easily customize it so that you can remove things you already have in your fridge or your pantry, so you're not shopping extra. You can, so you can manage the shopping list very well. And the other thing is, there was another good part about this planner. First of all, yeah, the portions can be controlled. You can also convert it to, if you have any allergies of nuts or gluten, the recipes, you get your own preferences. And so the recipes that come into your inbox is already checked, to make sure that it doesn't have any of your intolerances. So it's one of the most programmable, like customizable planner out there.
Right, and I'm going to post the link right now. You can either just get a free meal plan, or you can just try it for 2 weeks for free. So the question about what kind of pans you use and what kind of knives do you use?
So this is my favorite. The Santaku is my favorite knife. It's light, and like I'm a tiny person, so I like it. It's light and it's not that, heavy. And the pan, I want to show you the pan. That's my favorite. It's the Scan pan. I use
Mary McDougall, I believe, uses that as well.
Yeah. Oh, I have 3 or 4 of these, and one of them is a flat one for the for pancakes. I like. So Scan pan is very good, and I take very good care of it.
Nice. Betty wants to know if you have an eggplant barta vegan recipe. It's the only Indian food she likes from a restaurant.
Okay. I don't have one, but you've just given me an idea. I'm going to make it.
Nice. Other than Forks Over Knives, like, can people follow you? Do you have like a Facebook, Instagram, or,
yes, Darshana's Kitchen is my Instagram and my Facebook and my website. It's darshanaskitchen.com. DarshanaSkitchen.com. And that's, I've been posting a lot of my, unusual recipes from India. Lately, I've posted quite a few out there.
Laurel says, is your Scan pan bumpy on the bottom or smooth?
It's smooth. Yeah, it's smooth.
Nice. So in India, what is a traditional breakfast that you would have had growing up?
So Indians are very big on savory breakfasts. So you would have, say, potatoes with rice or puri. Puri is deep fried, but you can even have it chapati. So puri and potatoes is a very traditional breakfast. Wheat grits with vegetables. It's called dalia. That's also very common. Idli and dosa. These are fermented rice and lentil cakes, steamed cakes. Upma. Upma is made out of, broken wheat. There are many, many Indian breakfasts that are really hearty. That's as good as a main course, like a main meal. So yeah, and actually oats and any other cereal, those are not part of Indian,
I love that you didn't say oatmeal and fruit. I'm so happy to hear there's people that eat something else for breakfast. What's it like in India now in terms of the obesity rate, and what was it like when you were growing up there?
When I was growing up, it was not, like rarely would we find somebody overweight. It would be, a rare person. Now it's like, when I walk in India, like I'm out in the streets, I'm shocked. It's like, I forget that, am I in the US or I'm in India? Like, the number of people who are, struggling with weight is really amazing.
Have you been able to influence any of your family members, either the ones that live in the United States or the ones that are still in India, to eat healthier?
Uh, yes, my sister-in-law, but she is, so the thing is in India, like you live in a joint family often, like generations live together. So my sister-in-law, she would love to eat the way we eat, but she has living in a big family with people having different preferences. So already the kitchen is so busy with catering to so many different, people. So she, being the person who runs the kitchen, wants to make it as easy as possible for herself, and that's why she doesn't, have her own preference. She eats whatever everybody else eats, but she is the one who really gets it.
Yeah. Hey, I'm guessing because you're very tiny, you've never had any weight or health challenges.
Not really. But when I did, it was very, it was just the beginning of it when I was like 16, 17, a little bit of, I felt a little heavy in my lower part of my body, and I was not a very active person growing up. I am more physically active now after I turned plant-based than I was before in my childhood. Although I have maintained the same weight that I have now, I still weigh the same that I weighed when I was 16, 17. But I was I was seeing that I was putting on a lot more weight. The shape of the body was not really, like proportionate. And I now realize that I was experimenting with oil-free food even then, just instinctively. I felt like I was vegetarian. And so I would eliminate oil in my food. I would just have steamed and spiced. Not, I was not compromising on taste. Steamed and spiced dal and vegetables with rice and chapati without ghee or oil. That was how I was eating, and that's how I realized that today that's the best food for me. So I was experimenting on this, and that's why I was able to maintain my weight.
Nice. So Coco wants to know if people in India have high blood pressure issues. I know that Darshana loves salt.
Yes, I do. I always had low blood pressure growing up, all my life. My blood pressure was 60 by 90. Every time I would go to a doctor's office, they would try to test me twice just to be sure. And it was always 60 by 90. And I do love salt. I'm so much better now without it. I can really appreciate sometimes food without it. Like I enjoy the flavors of the things in their original form without it being camouflaged by salt, a lot of salt. So I have evolved, and I keep trying. I've come a long way, I should say. But in India, I can tell you, everybody over 40 will start complaining about high blood pressure. And having medicine for blood pressure is like a given. Like people just think, oh, that's just part of life. Nobody, thinks that, this is a lifestyle thing. Like that you can be independent, you can be without taking medication. Till all your life, you can be free of medication. Medication is not part of aging.
All right. Well, guess who's watching? One of your competitors whose butt you kicked at the Iron Chef, Chef Del, who watched his interview from a couple
I
weeks
love
ago.
Chef Del.
So do I. Hey, so what is Brian's favorite meal that you make?
Aloo matar and corn chowder. Those are his two favorites. So.
When I met him, which I think was like 2008, he was like pretty much 100% raw. So is it, but how can, being with you, I mean, that's got to be hard to maintain that.
Yes, it is hard for him sometimes, but he's amazing. The love of fruits that he has, it's amazing. Like, I'll be making fresh food here and he'll say, no, my cherimoyas are perfectly ripe right now. I'm just gonna have cherimoyas for lunch. And he does it. And we always have fruits. Do you want to see his fruits?
I would love to see Brian's
let's give everybody a tour of Brian's fruits here.
I'd love to see Brian, but he's so shy, he'll never let me interview him.
I know he is.
Whoa, those are the Alphonse mangoes, right?
These are no, not the Alfonsos. These are the Mexican mangoes.
Oh,
Yeah. So this is his favorite fruit, the cherimoyas, and these are amazing.
wow. That
Yeah.
looks incredible.
Yeah.
And so Gina said, please repeat the name of the dish that Brian loves. And is it in one of your books?
It's on our website. It's called Aloo Matar.
Mm-hmm.
Aloo Matar is potatoes and green peas.
Wow. And what about the corn chowder recipe? Is it available anywhere?
The corn chowder, yes, it's in the family book.
Very nice. But you have so many recipes now. How do you remember where they are?
I am having a hard time remembering, and I'm trying to put them all in a Excel sheet, to remember where they are, which ones. There's so many hummus recipes, so many, yeah, I'm really losing sight of it.
So what's your favorite thing to eat?
My favorite thing is a salad which has chickpeas and brown rice.
Hmm.
I love a salad. I can have huge bowls, like I can have about 10 to 12 cups of it, at a time. And that's chickpeas and brown rice and short grain brown rice. I've learned that I have preference in rice too now.
Now, do you cook? I mean, being Indian, you've obviously, you probably knew how to make rice before you came to the United States.
Yes.
Traditionally, did you make it on the stove or in a rice cooker?
No, on the stove. Yeah. I was a little scared of these, pressure cookers until I found Instant Pot. Like I had my mom, I asked her to send me, pressure cooker from India because I was used to those, but they're scary. Like, they can blow up, but Instant Pot is so good.
Yep. So you like the short grain. I'm finding that there's really not shortages like that maybe other people have where I live, but there was a period at the beginning where all the rice was gone from the store, and so what I've been doing is I've been mixing grains when I cook. I use my rice cooker, but I couldn't get all the brown organic that I wanted. So I did like a couple of cups of brown, 1 cup of white, 1 cup of wild rice. And actually the blends I'm making are like amazing.
Amazing. Yes, I know. I remember there's a blend Costco was selling at a point. I don't know, they stopped. They were selling a blend of different rices. Oh, they were so good. Yeah.
Yeah. I love rice. I feel bad for people that are afraid of starch in general and rice in particular. I mean, let's face it, Dr. Walter Kempner got the best results reversing diabetes and obesity with white rice. So
yes.
Here's a chef question from Judy. And I think I actually asked this to Chef Bravo a few weeks ago. Can I make reduced balsamic vinegar just by simmering it on the stove until reduced rather than purchasing it at the store? Any difference between reduced and aged?
I don't know the difference between reduced and reduced is, I guess, it's a concentrate, and that's how I make my balsamic glazes, like a reduction of red wine vinegar or white wine vinegar with maple syrup. That's what I use, and yeah, so that's how I make my balsamic reduction.
To Judy, what I find that by the time you do that, you're reducing it so much that it doesn't end up being any cheaper than if you just bought the reduced.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It takes a lot to reduce it. The raw material you use is so expensive, you might as well get the reduced one.
Right. So the question from Jory to me was, how do you mix rices when they seem to all have different cooking times and water needs? By the way, I love your name. That's my brother's name. He spells it differently, but I just use a rice cooker. And so it always comes out if I push brown rice. It's never not come out on the rice cooker. I wouldn't know how to do it on the Instant Pot though. So yeah. So any more questions for Darshana? And guys, I apologize that we did go offline a couple times. And thank you for sticking with us there. And always please consider sharing these interviews with your friends on Facebook and YouTube. We really appreciate it. And I'm going to be going live again today at 4 p.m. Pacific time with somebody I've known for 30 years. She's actually an animal communicator named Lydia Hibby, and it should be a very, very fun interview because you'll get to see Bailey. Gina wants to know, is it possible to make a recipe for I can't speak.
How do you spell it?
Bheipuri. Bheipuri.
Oh, I have a recipe in the flavor book.
Yeah. And so if you joined us late, this is Chef Darshana Thacker, the chef and culinary projects manager for Forks Over Knives, who's the author of this amazing book with so many recipes. And I love that there's just so many pictures in this book, because it's just like, here's one. Look at how beautifully photographed. And she's also co-authored 2 books with Chef Del, who's also online right now, the family book and the plan book from Forks Over Knives. And she's got her fingers in a lot of pies, because she does these magazines too, where she writes articles and creates recipes, and even has some recipes in the meal plan and on the app. She's a busy little beaver.
Thank you, Chef AJ.
Yeah, and if you came in late, she's got all, you can show those grain mixes again. Those look amazing. The grain and bean mixes for nights that you just don't know what to make.
Yeah, these, different flavors, the Mexican, the Indian flavor, which is very spicy, the Moroccan, and we have the Spanish one.
Those sound great.
Paella.
In addition to salad dressings, have you ever thought about making sauces? Because you make an amazing chutney.
Yes, we do have some, we are working on some sauces. Yeah, but these sticks, they take time, and there's so many things we are doing, so.
That's nice. Well, thanks for what you're doing, and thanks, Brian, because really until Forks Over Knives, I felt like I was beating my head against the wall trying to get people to go plant-based or vegan for ethical reasons. But man, that movie, I think, made more people plant eaters than anybody else. And TS, you can buy the grain mixes at forksoverknives.com. Jessie says she loves Darshana's food. Nadej said chutney would be great. And yeah, any last minute questions for Darshana or anything you want to say? If you head over to Instagram or Facebook, you can follow her at Darshana's with an S, her name Darshana with an S, Darshana's Kitchen. We posted it a few times in the chat. I also posted a way for you guys to try the Forks Over Knives meal plan, for either just getting 1 meal plan or 2 weeks for free. Okay, what is her favorite batter gourd recipe? I don't even know what, I don't know what any of these words mean today. So,
well,
batter gourd, B-O-T-T.
Oh, batter gourd. I like the stuffed ones. You stuff it with spices. And Chef AJ, I think this is a great reminder. Who was it who posted it? I want to thank them, because I'm going to use that crisper you sent me. I'm going to use that to make stuffed bitter gourd. That's going to be amazing.
That sounds amazing.
The crisper is perfect for it.
Perfect. So somebody's asking who my guest is tomorrow. It's Dr. Rick Dina, who knows a lot about raw foods and omega-3 fatty acids. So that should be fun. Well, this has been a lot of fun, and thank you for your patience, Darshana. And apparently people could hear you when I was offline. So thanks for just like staying there. And Kim says your corn chowder recipe is on the Forks Over Knives app, which I believe is only $4.99. That's a great price.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah,
absolutely.
The app is also very good.
Yep, I'm going to have to get that. I swear I had it, but I think when I changed phones, the apps didn't come along with me. So I'll have to get that. And even if I have to pay for it, I'm going to get it, because it's a great idea. Well, you're just delightful. You're so cute. That's, I honestly don't miss LA, but I miss hanging out with you and Brian and going to the Groundlings and our friends. That's, other than that, there's nothing in LA for me.
Yes. No, we miss you guys so much. So as soon as this is over, we are coming to visit you.
Yay! And I'll even let you cook if you want. So, and Darshana actually contributed a recipe to my book that's amazing. It's a 4-layer ice cream cake.
Yeah, that's
yummy. Really, really good. Well, I can talk to you anytime if you ever want to cook. Is there a way to follow Darshana? Yeah, I'll give you her address. No, actually, yes. So you can go to, Facebook or Instagram, Darshana's Kitchen, and that's how you follow her. And she's been posting a lot of her meals on Instagram. And I just realized I don't follow you on Instagram, so I'm going to have to add you right now. So thank you. Well, thanks so much, guys, for watching. Come back at 4 p.m. Pacific time, and I'll have another interesting guest. This will be talking about your pets today and how they're handling the sheltering in place, and you'll be surprised at the answer. Anything else you want to add, Darshana?
No, this is great. Everybody stay safe out there and eat plant-based.
Right, and let's get those chutney sauces available, because that I would definitely buy.
Yes. I'm going to work on that now.
All right. Well, say hi to Brian. Take care, everyone. Thanks, Darshana.
Bye-bye. Thank you.